The main reasons Matt Eberflus wanted to make a change was the in-game communication on the offensive side of the ball was not up to what he
let's
thought.
Stop. You know why he made the change?
Well, go ahead.
He trying to save his job. That's why.
Well, yeah, but listen, of course. I'm just trying to go
No,
through
I know.
the immediacy of it. But of course.
I understand it. Sometimes we want to tell you why. Just tell them. Just say the real truth. Don't take me the long route. Just tell me, look, man, we're just going to hit a left, cut through, run over the grass, bang. That's where we need to be.
He's got to save this season. He's got to save his job. Of course, you're going to make changes. That's what you're trying to do.
My brother trying to keep that gas in that gas tank. Shoot, them kids in private school.
That house was sweet, too, on Hard Knocks. I like this setup.
Yeah, he keep coaching like this. Is the word you're going to use is was. That house was sweet.
Well, the house is still sweet no matter what.
Hey, you want to put lipstick on a pig, man. Let that thing oink, oink.
Welcome for another edition of 89 with Steve Smith Sr. Back on American soil, he is, and James Palmer. We have a packed show, Steve. I'm glad you're back. We'll start right here with the Kansas City Chiefs, the lone unbeaten team. I was sitting at my son's soccer game. Every dad is sitting there in the bleachers watching the game on their phone. And collectively here in Denver, they're like, oh my God, we're giving Patrick Mahomes no time to get the football. Here we go. We're going to kick a last-second field goal. We're going to beat the Chiefs. Universally in the gymnasium, just as the kick is blocked. And then the best part, right when the game for my son and his team ends, boys run off the field, come over to their dads. One kid says to his dad, "Did we win? Did the Broncos win?" And he goes, "Son, watch this. This is proof that Patrick Mahomes sold his soul to the devil."
Oh,
that is
no.
parenting from that man right there, sitting 3 down to his son.
Wow.
This is proof Patrick Mahomes sold his soul to the devil. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Well, you can see Sean Payton has already addressed it. Every team has a deficiency on certain plays, has a weak link. And unfortunately, you don't do this when you don't need it. I believe one of our guys on the Underdog family, Bill Belichick, was breaking down how I believe the New York Giants a couple of weeks ago had utilized the same weak link or a chink in the armor to expose and get what you need. Sometimes when you have a secret, the good coaches need to learn how to wait. Sometimes you want to just do the play when you don't need to, when it's really not called for. But the thing with the Kansas City Chiefs that is impressive the most is, are they the best team in football? No. Record-wise, they are perfect.
Yep.
Statistically. But when it's not your team, you're always looking for something to discredit that team that is at the top of the mountain. Every week, they figure out how to win the game. It doesn't matter for them, is it ugly or pretty? They just want to know, can we get the dub?
Yep.
And it's been impressive. And look around the corner, all the guys that went out are now available to return soon. So imagine, they're getting more firepower at the wrong time.
The wrong time for everybody else. Yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
the wrong time for everybody else, exactly.
And you're right. And listen, the chemistry with DeAndre Hopkins is going to continue. We did a great breakdown of that, and you can check out that video on the page as well. I think there's 2 other points I want to make before we move on, Steve. One is you're exactly right in how they win games. They've trailed in 8 of 9 games this season. The only team they didn't trail to was the Saints. 7 of their 9 wins have been one-score games. They just find a way, as you're saying. But I also think the other part of that, and we've seen other great teams do this, is they never beat themselves. They never beat themselves in how they play football. And they always find different ways. Real quick, I know we showed the blocked game-winning field goal. Somebody in Kansas City texted me the next morning going, why don't you go take a look at the second PAT try that the Broncos had? We blew up the exact same guy. And so we knew we were going to be able to do it on the game-winning field goal. And I went back and watched it. Alex Forsythe, who's the player who's sitting there, they exploded him and almost blocked the PAT then. So they knew going into the game winner that they were going to have an opportunity to block this kick. The second part is, and this goes with what you're saying, you know who's kind of really emerging lately? Surprise, surprise, Travis Kelce. The last 3 games, he's got 32 catches. He's been on fire these last 3 games.
That's 10 catches a game.
That's 10 catch game. He's got 32 over the last 3 games. That's on 40 targets. So he has been, I think, back to that Travis Kelce we're used to seeing, and I think the other part that plays into that is that Hopkins is on the field as well. And that's going to free things up for Travis Kelce. Patrick Surtain had to follow around DeAndre Hopkins, and what ended up happening? You're going to be a little bit softer in another spot, and Travis Kelce is emerging quite a bit. Steve, I know the three-peat is the number one thing that locker room is trying to accomplish, right? Nobody's ever done that, but nobody's had an undefeated season since the 72 Dolphins. So do you feel like guys in that locker room actually care about an undefeated season?
Well, I haven't spoken with anyone in that locker room, and so this is my humble opinion, right? Never had the opportunity, obviously, because I was born in 1979, so impossible to be on the 1972 Dolphins, so I would not know. This is
Carry the five, yeah.
Clearly.
You're right.
Yeah, this is clearly speculation. I think guys are wanting to make history, right? I think that's whether it's a three-peat, whether it's a three-peat and go undefeated. However, the way the season has started for this team, I believe trying to get healthy, trying to do things the right way is the most important part. The three-peat is right there. Undefeated season would be a bonus. But getting their players back healthy for the playoffs, which allows them to get closer and reload to that three-peat, I believe is more critical than becoming undefeated, because you could be undefeated and you can win the battle but lose the war.
Patriots.
Because you're trying to do some things that aren't worth it just to say you're one of those teams that's done what very few have ever done. So I think that's the difference in the history that they're looking for. You never pass up guaranteed for what if.
Yeah, I like that.
I believe if they can get all their guys healthy, that's guaranteed to position themselves to possibly get that three-peat, to get themselves in the playoffs, to get home field advantage throughout, to really benefit them. But that what if is, what if something happens because you're trying to get that undefeated season? We've seen this with people before, being in the game longer than you should be, because you're trying to get a mark or whatever the case may be. So the risk versus reward.
I'm just picturing, Steve, what does Andy Reid do? They're undefeated going into that season finale at Denver. And it's, do I rest my guys or do we go and that's just.
I can tell you what, I do know Andy very well.
Yeah.
I would tell you Andy will talk to his guys.
And ask them what
he
they
will
want
talk
to do.
to the leadership in there, because I know Patrick, he got a little fire to him, right?
Yeah.
His voice ain't the deepest, but he wants to impact the league.
That voice is heard.
That voice is heard. He wants to rub it in people's faces statistically, not, demonstratively, but statistically, to say, hey, if there's a question about anything, go look at my resume. And so I would believe that depending on how those guys are health-wise, how they're feeling, that they're going to give it a try. Now, at some point, if things are starting to get out of hand and they start to see the risk versus reward isn't there, I would believe that they would start to pull back and say, hey, this isn't worth it, because we're trying to win this marathon. We're not trying to win this 40-yard dash.
Yeah, it's a great point. Great point. But if anybody can do it, I feel like they can. Last point, they're battle-tested, Steve. They've been through everything over the last several years, and almost all of those guys have been through it over the last several years. The core is all there. I was at that game in Buffalo and at that game in Baltimore. Everybody said they couldn't win on the road in the postseason.
And they won.
Won in two tough environments, and they won, and they've been through it. So we'll see. Steve, you've been through it over the last couple of days. That's going through it over there in Germany. We need to talk about this trip. You were everywhere, all throughout Germany with your former teammates, serving steins, riding bikes, doing everything.
Man, I was doing all kinds of stuff. The bike thing, it was short. Almost ran over some folks and drove through a fruit cart. I was handing out those steins, and Tep was telling me, I was like, man, I don't drink beer. I'm not really. He's like, well, you're in Germany, and we're handing out steins. Drink the beer. I was like, goodness gracious, peer pressure. Okay. Yeah. So I drank the beer. Let me tell you something. Ooh-wee. Boy, the world started moving a little bit. Whoa, right? Got on. I tried to get on the bike. Them things are tough to maneuver, especially if
I think you weren't pulled over.
Pulled over. You got to get started first. Man, but it was dope, though. I had my first Irish cream coffee out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a little cold. It was 40 degrees. One of the evenings, it was about 2 evenings. It was myself, Pep, John Beeson, Thomas Davis, Jeremy Kelly, who's in charge of Legends. Shout out to Jeremy, does a great job. Jonathan Stewart, John Beeson, Pep, Thomas Davis, myself, and Luke Kuechly.
Yeah. Panthers legends.
Man, we were all sitting at the table. At one point, I just sat back and I was just listening to the stories. And one of the things I really went through my mind was like, man, I miss sitting around. I miss the guys, not the game. I don't miss the game. I miss the guys. And not any guys, our guys, my guys, because I've seen these guys have kids and birthdays, and it was just some things. And I'm not talking about the 3 years. I'm talking about with John, it was like 5 years, right? With Pep, it was pretty much, he was with the Carolina Panthers 8 years. I mean, I got hurt 1 year, so I was with him for 7 years. And then Stewie, me and Stewie are great friends.
Yeah.
Luke's such a great dude. Luke has such a great relationship with my son Boston, and like just the way he loves on Boston is awesome.
That's cool.
My daughter Bailey, she when she was a kid, she had a crush on John Beeson. So it was just dope, man. And so it's just so many. No, but it was just that was Uncle Beast to her. So she was Uncle Beast that played football with Dad. So it was just a different element. And I learned some things about my teammates as men that I didn't know. Pep is a man of very few words.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, bro, Pep is lightweight, passive-aggressive. Bro, hilarious.
Really?
When I say lightweight, passive-aggressive, bro, like we're sitting in the car in there. You know, Pep is 6'7" and basketball athletic. So he's sitting there, right?
One of the most physically gifted individuals to ever play in the NFL. Yes.
Oh, can dunk, ball.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Pep was like, look, I could have played in the NBA as a rotational player, just an okay player. We were talking about football and basketball. He was just saying how it's not as easy as you think, right? He played in college. He was just saying, if I would have stayed with basketball and not football, I would have just been a guy. And I was like,
a guy in the NBA.
Bro, and hearing Pep say that, he was like, man, it's just I didn't have the same type of skill set that I honed in for football that I have for basketball, and that's why.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it was just dope conversation. We was talking about everything. But we're in the car, and we're all in there, in the car. And so on this side was Stewie, Luke, and Pep. So they all sitting there, and they all mushed in there. And Pep says, just like this to Luke, hey, Luke, you good? Luke says, yep. He moves over. That was Pep's way of telling him, hey, man, we squish, and you the odd man out.
It's almost like when he's saying, are you good? Like, he's saying, like, are you enjoying the little extra space that I think you have?
Because I need it, right? So that was
right
that.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. So we're at this event. It was dope dinner, and it was getting a little chilly. So JK was like, hey, man, they got this for us. They want us to come over there and, shake some hands and thank some people. And so I'm like, all right, cool. And then we leaving after that, right? Yeah, because it was late. Guys were getting tired. So Pep says, man, JK, I'm good with whatever. But, I did just put on my jacket and coat, though.
You have like a little look with it, too?
No, it gets better. 3 or 4 minutes ago, we turn around and say, bro, where Pep at? Pep is at the bottom of the stairs looking at us, fixing his coat.
Ready to go.
But key word, I'm good to do whatever. But I mean, I did just put my coat and hat on, though. Bro, I said, wow. It was just some good old times, man, talking to these guys, talking to Pep. Got a great opportunity to sit down with Pep, man, and it was just fun, bro. It was fun. Got to see some neat fans. Got to do a new segment I'm going to start doing, Smitty on the Street. Just going out there, man. Them dudes was out there balling, bro. They had a good time, man.
Leader hoses.
Just folks, leader hoses, everybody from everywhere. Germans, people from all walks of Germany, trains, boat, airplane. You name it, they got there, and it was fantastic. I personally think that the Carolina Panthers did a really good job of integrating a ton of fan experiences compared to the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants, obviously, their name, their symbol stands for itself, but the Carolina Panthers, we had to kind of go out there and do a little extra, and Mr. Tepper, Nicole, and David Tepper, they did a great job of making sure we were heavily involved, man. We handed out steins. I took so many pictures, did some Q&As, rode some bikes, and, man, it was if you didn't go, I'm telling you, you missed it. It was a fantastic time, man. And then you got Bryce Young. Was it a perfect game? No, but it was efficient. He improved, making good decisions, doing a lot of good things that you expect out of your quarterback. Chuba Hubbard running, got rewarded that extension. Just great time to see the way things unfolded for Bryce Young, the way things have gone on for the Carolina Panthers, and now all of a sudden you get back-to-back wins. Not expecting that. You knew it was going to be a dogfight, but man, the Carolina Panthers kept fighting. It was great. It was dope.
What's going on? James Palmer here, and let's get real for a second. You see the underdog graphics flying in and out of the show 89 with Steve Smith and myself. Well, you're probably wondering, what are these? Well, what they are is it gives you an opportunity to participate, to start playing. You can use the promo code UD89. You can scan the QR code and you can start playing instantly. Dive right in and you can win $1,000 bonus cash like that. You just got to pick higher or lower. So remember, scan that QR code. Use that promo code UD89. What we do here at 89, we give you analysis, we give you breakdowns, we give you the news. We love that you're here. We love that you're watching us and hanging out with us. But now, when you do this, you get an opportunity to find out if we actually know what we're talking about. Next up, Steve, we have the world famous, and yes, I'm calling it the world famous route of the week.
I love it.
It's unbelievable. It's taking the internet by storm. It's like that kid where Charlie bit his finger. It's just taking over the entire YouTube world. Steve, we're going to go with one that actually ended up being completed, but to the other team.
Say it ain't so, bro.
Let's look at this route by Tank Dell with the Houston Texans, and let's see what happens.
So right here, they're in the condensed formation. So the condensed formation right here, condenses me, is you shrink it, and you have a fullback, so you're giving every indicator that you're possibly running the football. This is a play action. This is built on the run game. Now, this is called, some people call it deep 202, crossers, pylon, but this is building on what they already have. So they have a deep 202 is deep 202. So you got a high crosser, underneath crosser with the play action to grab. Now, they add a little element to it, or a wrinkle. This is a shot play. If they're in this and we see that, we shall do this. So, bang, there he goes. He hits the head nod, the look. So, you see how the corner down here to the left, 23, he's pointing.
He's pointing,
He's pointing, which is an indication of, let me say it and alert my teammate. But sometimes when it's too loud, let me use my hands.
Because he's taking the underneath, right? He's taking the other.
Yeah, he's handing it off.
Yep.
He's saying you, because they know. And you see how the corner up top, he puts his hand up. You. So everybody's communicating as things are flashing before their eyes. So Tank looks, then he goes over. Boom. So here's the problem. I'm going to tell you the problem right now. Tank is at the high angle. CJ has to throw the ball.
Yep.
How he throws the ball, we all want to throw the football the way we think we should, but just some days it just don't come out the way you want it to. So he throws the football. The ball is underthrown. However, the ball is caught or intercepted around the goal line. Pause it. Tank is looking at the ball and he's gathering his steps. Corner looks at the ball. Meacham, down knee, he got his hands up like, yo.
We got a tutty.
That's you, dog.
Yeah.
What Tank should do is when he puts his foot in the ground, he should go attack the football to, guess what? High point the football. If you let the football drop down into the bread basket, the big bad wolf will steal your bread.
Is this ball placed properly, Steve, with so much end zone to the side there to go to?
Look, that ball is up. I have high regard of Tank Dell, so that got to be my dog's ball. Just bottom line. I'm going to just tell you that. Could it have been a better ball? Yes. But our job as a receiver is to make the quarterback right. Make the quarterback look good.
Do you like the route?
Love the route. Excellent route. Could have got a better throw, and I could have got a better finish. That's perfection. One of the things, someone asked me in Germany, and he was like, hey, Steve, man, I got to ask you a question. So he says, hey, why do you guys as analysts or former players seem to come across like hating or like in this play, whose fault is it? And that was a really good question. And when I told him, he was like, I never thought about it this way. I said, the reason why we, as analysts and as football players, we seem to always be complainers or never really satisfied with the small things is because our opponents are always watching for the things that we don't do well. The things that we are maybe a second too late recognizing, a second too late to step, to put your hand up. And so as an athlete, our goals are not to replay all of our good plays. Our goals are to look at our game, look at it as data with no feelings on how I can be better and what did I do wrong that caused that play not to be executed the way it was drawn up. That is the goal of a football player, and that's why a lot of analysts are former players, because we look at things with our perspective of what happened that was wrong versus not what was good. And that's why a lot of times when I look at games, I look at the game of what happened, what caused, and what is the purpose. Like, why did this team win or lose? Not what did I like, what happened? Because what I like does not matter. I'm in the business of performance, not in the business of customer service, trying to make you feel good and have a great experience. That's for the people in the stands and in the concession stands. Between the white lines, my job is to execute and minimize the mistakes. Because if I don't, and I make too many mistakes on too many plays, then you will eventually lose.
You'll be selling concessions eventually.
Yeah, you be parking those other guys' cars that are not making as many mistakes. But nobody's perfect.
All right, Steve, moving on to our segment of the show, dig routes. Our first dig route, Arizona Cardinals leading the NFC West, Steve, right now. Nobody's paying attention to Kyler Murray and company, with Murray playing at a borderline MVP level of late.
Are they on the top of the NFC West like we said?
I believe so.
Because people said in the comments, we haters.
I think we were right about a lot, honestly.
I don't know how to hate. You know what I know how to do? Riff. Reading is fundamental. That's what I know how to do. And count. And the teams that are winning have the best record, not the best uniforms or selling the best glizzies up in the stands, okay?
I love it. Well, listen, I remember in year one for Jonathan Gannon, obviously the wins and losses weren't all there, but I remember in the offseason just kind of going around the league and talking to teams are like, man, this is a physical team. They played everybody tough, and that was year one. I think establishing that right out of the gate as a head coach and with a new staff is important, with a new regime that you're going to do things differently, and that stood out to a lot of teams in year one.
The Arizona Cardinals have figured out by happenstance that their line up with the O-line because of injuries actually has benefited them very well.
Right side of their line has been just gone since the start of the season.
Yes, because of injuries. But these are guys they coveted that were supposed to help them, and in their absence, kind of look like maybe those were kind of the problems of why they were not able to run the football. Will Hernandez was drafted by the New York Giants. I saw him in college. He was very inconsistent. He struggles in the pass game. He's what they call a road grader, does really well, but sometimes he fits on the run game a little bit too high. I would like to call him, he's a heavyweight puncher, right? Everything is so much power. But when you have so much power and you have sometimes a quicker guy, while you're cocking it back trying to load up, that defender wrong arms you or uses his hands to get you down, so it's not effective. It was one of the things early in the year I thought Arizona Cardinals offensive line was struggling. their starters. Now that they've had a different rotation, multiple different rotations because of injuries, they seem to be running the football excellent, well-balanced. They're not relying on Kyler Murray to be a magician. Prior to this game, goals-to-goal drives, basically on the half-yard line, the 1-yard line, man. This season, they were going in there 13 for 13, 14 for 14 touchdowns this season. Only team in the NFC with a perfect percentage. So it's really good. 6 in rushing in the NFL with Connor. They have I think 3 capable backs that do a lot of different things.
True.
And Kyler Murray is not giving the football up, and he's not throwing it. They win, just like we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. They are winning however it matters. They're not relying on just passing the ball. They're running the football effectively, efficiently, and they're doing it well. Sometimes they have 3 tight ends. They spread you out. They're doing a really good job of figuring out the magic potion for each game. Each game, they do it a different way.
I'm going to give you this, Steve. I think the guy who's driving all this, maybe the 2 men that are driving all of this, Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, and what he has changed with what they're doing offensively, and you touched on a lot of it right there. And 2, the evolution of Kyler Murray. And this is not the same player that we saw early in his career when you mentioned he had to be a magician. It was almost like the organization was relying on him to be that magician and go out there. Kyler, go make a play. Kyler, go do something crazy. Go do something special. Now what we're seeing, Steve, is him playing on time.
On schedule.
Making plays from the pocket. Can he still do those other things? Oh, yeah. Can he still make plays with his legs? Of course. But it doesn't seem like the offense is heavily reliant on it now. And what stands out to me most is the hit that he took last Sunday. I think we're going to look back on that hit, the blindside hit from Quincy Williams, where his helmet gets drilled off and stops rolling about 15 yards from Kyler Murray. This is a guy that for some reason or another, people have questioned his toughness, which I'm not really sure. He's been pretty durable, too, outside of the ACL. They've questioned his want to, for sure. Yeah. That's a non-contact in the middle of the field by himself. I mean, how are you going to question a guy's, toughness or durability in a sense when really that's been about it? There's been some questions about his, work ethic, right, with a video game clause in and then out of his contract. I look at this hit and look at what happened after the hit. He bounces up immediately. He laughs it off, puts his helmet back on, doesn't blame anybody for a missed assignment, whether I'm not sure who it was on. I don't know exactly. But they go back, and what do they do the rest of the drive? He throws a dime from the pocket under pressure on 3rd down to Trey McBride. The very next play after that, he throws an absolute dime to Marvin Harrison Jr. in the corner. Not fazed in the least, Steve, by that hit. And one of the biggest hits we've seen in the season this year. I think that just shows where Kyler is as a player. And then the other one is Drew Petzing. Like, you mentioned the tight ends. I went and looked it up. Like, their 2nd and 3rd tight ends play about 43% of the snaps. They go big all the time. And what do? They force you to play base because they're playing this big personnel. And then what did we see Kyler Murray do on that touchdown run? Just walking to the end zone. Because you're almost too big to handle what he can do with his legs outside the pocket. And then they're explosive out of this big personnel. So they've actually gone the opposite of what the previous regime did, which was, if you remember, let's get a bunch of small, speedy guys that are like Kyler, I guess, and have him throw to Rondell Moore or Marquise Brown. Like, what have they done now? Like, Marvin Harrison's a big dude. Trey McBride is a big dude. James Conner's a big dude. Wilson's a big guy. Like, they've surrounded him actually with bigger players to go out there and make plays with. I think this offense is unique considering the way that they've designed it, and I think that's a big part of Kyler's success. But Kyler is also unbelievably accurate with the football. Like, you talk to anybody who's down there, he can put it wherever he wants. It's been fun to watch. It really has.
It's been great to watch, and you can see with the wide receivers, they do a really good job of having a lot of variations. Earlier in the season, they seem to be very predictable, but then Drew has done a great job, the offensive coordinator, of changing it up, allowing some of these tight ends to come. And why the tight end personnel and 3 and 4 tight ends are pivotal is because they also, with James Conner, catching a football out of the backfield. So it's just not becoming one-dimensional where 4 tight ends is big personnel, what they call New York personnel, where they're just running the football. They have now the ability with play action and then Kyler to get out on the edge. But you can't catch him out on the edge because you have so many guys committed into the middle of the formation because you know that James Conner is such a dog that runs between the guards, right, and the centers, between the A and B gaps. He can't get outside, but he likes that contact type of game to wear you down. 200 and something yards, 150 yards. They are running the football extremely well, which opens up the play action in a way that we have not seen, to the place of where Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals are beating teams by 20 points, and yet only, 158 yards, 0 touchdowns, but yet they're marching down the field, capitalizing on points, rarely leaving a red area without some kind of points.
Bingo.
And that is very good football.
Our second dig route, Steve, we've talked about this team a couple of times. We were in heavy debate. I'm going to just eat a little crow right now and say I thought they should have stuck with Justin Fields.
I said the same thing.
You said the same thing, and it looks to be the exact opposite, as they have now won 3 straight.
Yeah, balling
with Russell Wilson. And big picture to start off with before we get into their massive showdown with the Baltimore Ravens this coming Sunday.
The black and blue division.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Is this now a legitimate Super Bowl contender that we have on our hands with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Can I ask, how do we jump for a Super Bowl contender when we didn't even think the dude should be playing? How do we jump? How do we jump that quick? I've always wanted to know that. Can you explain that to me?
Well,
I mean, we thought the dude was dead and
we really did.
Dead in water. Now all of a sudden he's a Super Bowl champ.
It's unbelievable.
He's Super Bowl contender.
You know why?
Do tell me.
I'm going to tell you why.
Shocked.
What usually makes you a Super Bowl contender? You need what? A top tier coach. I think we can both agree that Mike T is out of this world as a head coach. We are on the verge, 2 wins shy of our 18th.
I was trying to think of some coaches when you said going to Super Bowl. I was like top. I was like, So
I mean, he's 2 wins shy of his 18th consecutive 500 or better season, which is
dope,
unbelievable.
That.
He's just he's unreal, and I got a nugget on him too that I want to share with you in a second. But you need the coach. I'll just say you need a defense. You need a top tier defense to usually win a Super Bowl. Do they have
led
a
by
top-tier
T.J.
defense?
Watt?
Led by T.J. Watt. And
they're a different type
deeper
of team when he's on the field.
100%. I love how they know the quarterbacks are going to go against in the back end of this year when they got Joe Burrow twice, they got Lamar twice. What do they have? Jalen Hurts. What do they have? Patrick Mahomes. They have all these quarterbacks still in their schedule. You went out and got deeper at the trade deadline at the pass rushing position to rotate more guys and going out and getting Preston Smith. And then you need a quarterback. I think that's the question, right? Like, those are the 3 things you usually need to be a Super Bowl contender. So what we're trying to figure out is if this quarterback situation, Steve, is the right quarterback situation to be a potential Super Bowl contender. Because a big part of that is the offensive coordinator, right? And the fit that they have with the quarterback in terms of how they stylistically run an offense. But I think this nugget to me, because we said Russ was cooked. I think everybody did. I was talking to one of his former teammates the other day who still told me, I still talk to Russ every single day. We text every single day. And he said, you know what Russ needed? Russ needed a head coach that believed in him. He said Sean Payton didn't believe in him at all. You know what Mike Tomlin did? Mike Tomlin told him the entire time that Justin Fields was playing, this is still your team. This is your team. So
yeah, he did say that.
He did. So he said Mike had Russ's back this entire time. That was important to Russ and important to having them go back and playing the way we've seen him play. And so I think what we're trying to figure out, is this change at quarterback
enough?
Is it enough? Yeah, to get them in the group. They went from 20 points a game to 30 points a game. They went from 298 offensive yards a game to 382.
Well, let me just say, I'm very impressed. I know Russell Wilson, he's not played perfect football, but he's played efficient football, making the right decisions most of the time, throwing the ball away, not really doing anything outside himself. And kudos to Arthur Smith for understanding how to get Russ to throw the football quicker. That was one of the things I thought they did a really good job of, getting the ball out quick, having a lot of things go. If he's going to go deep, he throws it immediately. If he's going to go short, doing a lot of motion. But Harris is running the football with purpose. Jalen Warren he's getting in there, throwing things off. Patrick Queen is playing well. He's been all over the field. And then I love, even though Terry McLaurin had a really good game, I did think that Joey Porter Jr. did a really good job and was giving Scary Terry some problems on his releases. And that was a fun battle to watch.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. I've been impressed with Russell Wilson because I did not believe Russell Wilson would be playing the type of football that he is playing right now that we witness. And so you have to give him kudos. 79 plays the Pittsburgh Steelers ran last week against the Washington Commanders. And the biggest thing they were able to do is they didn't always get home to sacks, but they created enough pressure on Daniels with the Washington Commanders that were giving them an opportunity that they knew if they just could get there, they can make some hay, and that's exactly what happened. It gave them more opportunities for the offense to click, and obviously George Pickens, he was balling. He had some overthrows to Van Jefferson. He was open, but the thing is not the misses. It's the attempts that he recognized, he saw it, and he took a chance, and that's what you want from your quarterback. So I have to congratulate him and say, hey, man, I was wrong, and it happens. Yeah. But no one would have sat here and tell me that Russell Wilson would have took that team based off the last couple of years, what we saw him do, that he would have took this Pittsburgh team to average at 30 points. If you believe that, great. I didn't see it. You also should be going on some websites that I know that's sitting right here then go ahead and put your knowledge to test and put your money where your mouth is then, since you got Captain Know-It-All.
Yeah, make a buck or two, you know? And Steve, with this team moving forward, I look at, what teams did at the trade deadline and what teams didn't make moves at the trade deadline. I mentioned Preston Smith and him coming in. Mike T's liked him for a long time. You get a little bit deeper at the edge rushing spot to go after these quarterbacks.
Especially, I think Highsmith is injured a little bit.
He's banged up. So,
hey, that was great timing.
Great timing. And then on the other side of the ball, you go out and you get Mike Williams, who for some reason now all of a sudden can run the red line. You see that little jab that Mike had on Instagram?
Bro.
Mike put it out there.
Hey, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
He don't know how to. Hey, that's one of the things. You don't know how to play receiver till you go to another team, huh?
100%. So I had to ask, because some people I was evaluating these trades, and some people, I don't know if the Mike Williams trade really moves the meter for Pittsburgh. We'll see. I talked to people in Pittsburgh. This was what I got. We wanted a guy who's a 50-50 ball guy. We wanted a big-bodied receiver, which Mike Williams is both those. We believe he's getting healthier off the ACL, and we wanted a veteran. I think what it also does, and this wasn't said to me directly, is we're rolling with Russ because his skill set fits Russ's moon ball, right? That's what Mike Williams
That is
fits.
A moon ball.
He fits Russ's moon ball. So this is telling about we need to become better around Russell Wilson's strengths. See, this is a great catch, by the way. Like to switch shoulder.
Fantastic catch. Over the shoulder.
And follow
Keeping the red line. Look at Russ. Keeping the red line. Doop.
The deep ball's still there for Russ. And so looking forward to this first game coming up, Steve, like I mentioned the trade deadline. That's why I brought it up too. The Ravens were in on Marcus Lattimore. They wanted to make a push to see if they could get Lattimore. They know where their deficiency lies on defense in the secondary. Yeah. Russ has the ability to hit him deep. He has the ability with both of these guys to have some explosive plays. What we need to figure out, and I want to ask you this, is they've made big plays at the biggest moments of games, which since Russ has taken over specifically even further.
Well, also too against the Baltimore Ravens, because that game always goes down. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Doesn't matter what players on there in the division, in the conference. Bro, it goes down to the wire.
Yep.
Every single year.
Makes a play. And so is that sustainable as an offense, right? Because I think it's not the plays they're making, it's when they're making these big plays. And that's in the biggest moments possible. Is that sustainable through the rest of the season in the postseason to be that type of offense?
Well, as a former player, you always say no because you're going on a wish and a dream, right? You're hoping.
Good point.
But guess what? That's the way football is. It's those little small turnovers that turns into explosive plays, and then it happens right at the right moment. Like the returner fumbles the punt. Punt hits him in his chin strap, face mask, and in his hands, and then all of a sudden you get a muffed punt, on a 15, 18-yard line? Opportunities. Those are the things that you don't expect. You don't ever have in there, hey, when this guy fumbles on the 18, this is the play we're going to run. You don't have that. No. But it happens all the time. So is it sustainable? I think it is sustainable if they keep capitalizing on mistakes by the other team and coming away with points.
That's really it. And they're going to limit their mistakes because of what? To circle it back. Usually Mike Tomlin teams don't make a whole lot of mistakes. How'd they end the game this past Sunday? Washington jumps off sides. Mike T goes, game over. So It's going to be a blast to watch this game on Sunday with what's going on with Baltimore and the way that offense is playing, which has been unbelievable. And can they continue to grow as a defense? That's the thing that we're looking at, is the Baltimore Ravens defense continue to grow with Zach Orr as the season continues to move forward.
They need to.
We'll see. They need to. They tried to make some moves. If they can make one, they did get Tre'Davious White to try to see if that could add some help to their secondary. We'll see. But we'll really have an eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward the rest of the season, because this has been one of the most interesting storylines of the entire year, Steve, in what's gone on with Russell Wilson and this group as they sit at, 7-2? Just unreal.
Crazy.
Unreal.
Impressive.
Very much so. Here's the deal, people. All season long, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Only on Underdog. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player, and you can join the millions of fans winning millions this season. Sign up today using promo code UD89, and you'll get a free pick as part of your first cash entry, plus $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, promo code UD89 to cash in on every touchdown this season, only on Underdog. Here's our go route where Steve and I go deep and try to get to the bottom, I guess, Steve, of a major issue going on in the NFL. And this week, it's going to be the Chicago Bears. Our producer, John, says the entire city is crumbling right now. Chicago is falling apart. They thought Caleb Williams would save everything. But they are sitting at 4-5. But they have now moved on, fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and promoted passing game coordinator Thomas Brown, who will be taking over running that offense and calling the plays. But right now, things look pretty bad for the Chicago Bears. Your initial take right now, Steve, on the Bears and what's going on. Should they have moved on from Shane Waldron? And is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
That's a loaded question right there, because they have a lot of leaks in their boat. However, we know when teams don't live up to expectations, there's a lot of blame to go around, and usually the head coach is always blaming someone else. I've been watching a few of these games, and just a few of the notes that I wrote.
Okay, hit me.
The Bears against the Cardinals. Late on throws, just a tick off. Slow start. Why did the Cardinals score so many points? I'm pretty sure Shane Waldron was not the defensive coordinator, is he?
No, he's not. That's the head coach, Matt Eberflus, essentially running that defense. And I'll say this, we just got done talking about him. Drew Petzing with the Arizona Cardinals out-schemed, out-designed, out-coached Matt Eberflus in that game.
Not Shane?
No, not Shane.
Oh, just checking. All right. I like to ask redundant questions.
It drives the point home. I dig it.
Yeah. And then, so now let's go with New England. Bears are allowing way too much real estate gained on the run game. Every single Bears opponent has scored on opening drives. Now, explain to me, where's Shane in that? Opening drives are predicated only on the defense. Is that sure? Is that correct?
That is correct. I feel like I'm on the stand right now. Yes, that's correct. I feel like I'm a witness. Yeah.
I don't think Shane knew what he was doing. I put Shane Waldron in that same category Luke Getsy. A little bit too soon. Just because you're the quarterback coach and you did a little bit, all of a sudden you're not ready to run a whole offense all by yourself.
Well, both have been fired this year, Steve.
What do I expect from Thomas Brown? This is a legitimate assessment from me.
Okay.
Based on his last job, I'm not particularly sure what we can expect out of Thomas Brown, because Thomas Brown was with the Carolina Panthers. I saw some good things. I saw some no things. I don't know, was he running his offense or was he running Frank Wright's offense? All I know is it was very unique and interesting how things went down.
Very polite of you, Steve.
I try not to believe and come across, but I am like, I'm Captain Petty, but I'm also like, I try to be optimistic Oscar, but I'm a little bit pessimistic Paul as well. So, I mean, it just depends on who it is, how they look, and what the film looks like. And I've seen the Bears offensively be behind the chains and try to do so many cute things way too much. Mm-hmm. I think they're relying way too much on Caleb Williams and his off-scheduling throws, that they are actually not doing him a good service by allowing him to still play like he's in college. That's not going to work. No. He's getting himself in trouble, and he's putting this offense behind the chains like 15, 20 yards at a time because he thinks that he's going to outrun everybody. He's not.
Steve, I'm going to fire back at you with the same thing.
Oh, well, let's go. Let's go. Billy the Kid.
What's the definition of insanity?
Oh, doing the same thing over and again, expecting a different result.
Yep. They picked Mitchell Trubisky, 2 overall, had a lame duck coach, kept him.
Didn't tell Coach Fox, I want to tell you, too. Did not tell Coach Fox they were getting him.
Well, there you go. Didn't tell Coach Fox they were getting him. Coach Fox, lame duck coach, lasts another year. Second year for that quarterback, and Mitchell Trubisky has a new coach. Picked Justin Fields, I believe 11th overall. What was it? Had a lame duck coach for one more year, and Matt Nagy, and then they picked a new coach the next year. Oh, let's pick Caleb Williams, number 1, with essentially a lame duck coach, and Matt Eberflus. And now you're going to most likely, the appearance of this right now, is you're going to be giving him a new staff in his second year. 23 consecutive offensive drives without a touchdown. The last time that happened, Mitchell Trubisky's rookie year, they went 23 straight without having a touchdown. It just feels like they're stuck in a spin cycle and they need to make sure they get out of it. The move to move on from your offensive coordinator better be the right one, because you have, as John has called him, the savior in Chicago, Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick. Your number 1 goal this year is to make sure that he develops in the proper environment, and you have an opposite conclusion than what happened with the previous 2 first-round quarterbacks in Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields. The dangerous part with all of this and where we're headed in Chicago, and this is the part I want to talk to you about, is public perception and expectations are dangerous, man. And they were both high in Chicago right now. The expectations.
I was there in camp. I expected it high too. Defense looked good.
Defense was great. Defense great back end of last year, and the defense looked good. And this is, everybody was saying this isn't the same type of situation a number 1 pick usually walks into. Look at the talent he has around him. Look at the skilled position players they have. And it just hasn't come to fruition yet. I think the part that's happening that I'm fascinated with is what we're going to find out is if this was a Shane Waldron problem, or this right now is a Caleb Williams problem right now. Not saying it means like Caleb Williams broken, he's never going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, but right now, where does the problem lie? Because I go back and look at the 1 year that Shane was with Russell Wilson. It was the second fastest time to throw Russell Wilson's had in his career for a season. So he got Russ to get rid of the football, and what has Russ done in some of his years in this league? He's held on to the ball. And so is this a Shane issue that these plays are taking too long to develop, or is Caleb hanging on to the football, or are receivers not getting open fast enough? I think we're going to now, with the change, my point is, at offensive coordinator and a play caller, well, the offense is what it is. There's only so much you can really change within the whole offense. But we're going to find out where some of the issues actually truly lie now that you made a change.
Well, some of it lies where Caleb is a second off trying to throw the ball. He's sometimes late seeing the guy get open, so he's trying to catch up with his arm strength. You can see sometimes those bullets that he's throwing in there, if he would just take a little bit off. But part of that has to do with he's seeing a little bit late, and that's because he's in his first calendar year, his first games in the National Football League. So that just comes with experience. However, there's also some things that Caleb isn't calling. He's not like Aaron Rodgers where he's commanding the offense from the line of scrimmage.
True.
He may identify the defense or where the offensive line slides, but he's not saying, hey, these are the plays. We're on the goal line. We're going to throw a quick screen to DJ Moore instead of run it with the running back. That's not there. But also, this defense has this huge expectation with Eberflus and that they will be able to stop something. And they can't. I mean, this defense needs to be cauterized to figure out what and how do they stop the bleeding, because too many teams are running the football consistently on them, and that's what they're supposed to be known for, is their defense was top-notch, and now they get a quarterback that can help them. Cole Kmet has disappeared. He hasn't forgotten how to run routes, right? You go ahead and trade for an old head who's savvy with Keenan Allen. Then you utilize all the equity you have by the Carolina Panthers, and you get Rome Odunze. And yet, Roman Dusme, and I said it in our draft. You can go look at that. I said he's going to play better when you put him in a slot. He's not going to become that mismatch god that you thought he was going to be. He's going to do a lot of his dirty work in the slot.
Yeah.
I've played this sport just a little bit.
A little bit.
And I'm telling you, and I'll study a lot of film, if you move him inside consistently, he will do a lot of great things. If you keep moving him inside and outside, I don't believe he can consistently grow and become the player that you drafted him to become. And you need to run the football. That's why you got DeAndre Swift.
That's a good point. In Shane Waldron's past, they've ran the football well. And, in Seattle where he was, they ran it more than they threw it. I'm interested to see what ends up changing because the main reasons Matt Eberflus wanted to make a change was the in-game communication on the offensive side of the ball was not up to what he
let's
thought.
Stop. You know why he made the change?
Well, go ahead.
He trying to save his job. That's why.
Well, yeah, but listen, of course, I'm just trying to go through the immediacy of it. But of course,
I understand it. Sometimes we want to tell you why. Just tell him. Just say the real truth. Don't take me the long route. Just tell me, look, man, we're just gonna hit a left, cut through, run over the grass, bang. That's where we need to be.
He's got to save this season. He's got to save his job. Of course, you're going to make changes. That's what you're trying to do.
That brother trying to keep that gas in that gas tank. Shit, them kids in private school.
That house was sweet too on Hard Knocks. I like this setup.
Yeah, he keep coaching like this. The word you're gonna use is was. That house was sweet.
Well, the house is still sweet no matter what.
Hey, you want to put lipstick on a pig, man? Let that thing oink oink.
The issues that Matt Eberflus says are on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see if these things change. He's trying everything right now to kind of turn this thing around right now, but it's the specifically in-game communication, Steve. It's the tactical adjustments need to be better. The adjustments within the game on the offensive side of the ball need to be better.
I agree with that.
But we're also hearing in the building, Steve, apparently due to reports, I don't know this, I don't think you've dug on it either, as we're taping this, is that veterans have a couple, apparently, have gone to Ryan Poles, the general manager, and Matt Eberflus, saying maybe we should start Tyson Bagent at the quarterback position. To me, now that this report is out, I think it makes this whole situation even worse, Steve.
Why you think it's worse?
One of the major things you need to do as a rookie quarterback, specifically the first overall pick or a first-round pick, is you need to start to own that locker room. What did they do for Caleb Williams right out of the gate? No, what did they gave him a playbook at the combine so he could start working on the playbook because they knew they were taking him number 1 overall. They got a jump start.
A few teams have
on
done
him
that in
running
the past, though.
thing. Yes, they have. No, listen, I'm not saying what they're doing is out of the norm.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying it, but not everybody knows. Like sometimes I forget the conversations we have. Some people know, and we do love reading your comments, love reading your expertise.
Yeah.
So some people already know. They get on their computer and tell me, hey, they run this personnel 44% of the time. Appreciate it.
They do. Right? A little bit. Listen, we do appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you hit that link button, smash the subscribe button, whatever everybody says on YouTube. Smash it. But you're right. The Jaguars did it with Trevor Lawrence as well. They gave him the playbook right out of the gate.
Oh, sure. They about to be fired too. Sorry.
Yeah,
my bad.
I'm just saying this is what happens. You wanted it to be out there that with number 1 overall picks, oftentimes teams try to get a jump on the quarterback getting to know the playbook.
Why do they try to get a jump with the number 1 quarterback and getting him the playbook?
Because they want him to start week 1. And they want to make sure that he starts studying that playbook because you're the only team that has the option to give the playbook right away because nobody can pick before you. So you can't do that from any other spot. So you get them going. You get them ready. You get them ready for spring ball.
Get them going, get them familiar, get them comfortable because you hope that works.
Exactly.
That gives him that boost to help him minimize the rookie mistakes. Very rarely has it ever worked out.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure when Peyton Manning got his book, but he also threw an insane amount of interceptions that rookie year.
That's what my point is, man, these teams, if we continue to draft players with the first overall pick and expect them to not give them any navigational system in the car, not check their license, and then just get them on an Autobahn or get them in a rush hour and believe that they're going to make all the right decisions every single time, you're foolish. It rarely works out the way you wanted to
There
in
are
the beginning.
Yeah.
In
True.
the beginning.
There's different approaches you can make. And I think this is a glaring one because not just the playbook part. Remember how early, Steve, they declared Caleb Williams the starter? I mean, that was outside of the norm. I mean, they did it before spring ball even started. Like, they did it so early. That part, coming out and saying he is our starting quarterback right away, is not the norm. It didn't happen with C.J. Stroud. He's had to sit there and battle, but essentially earn it in DeMeco Ryans' mind throughout camp in the way he played. It's happened with other quarterbacks. They did it earlier than you've ever seen. What's the point in doing it that early? I asked around when that happened. Some coaches said because you want your guy to know he's the guy, and you want your room to know he's the guy. Fast forward to now, and where are we? You have veterans reportedly going to the general manager and the head coach saying that we don't think he's the guy. So now all that work you put in right there, now you're starting back at square one, it seems like, because he's going to have to barely earn some of these guys' respect back.
Here's why he's not the guy in your words. I didn't say that.
I didn't say he's not the guy. I'm saying that's the perception of it right now.
It's not that he's not the guy. It's we're trying to win a football game, and he's a tick off. He's a little bit behind in recognizing. That can be frustrating for veterans because we're running our routes with an expectation on my second break, get here. And a lot of times in these instances, I've been in these locker rooms where you have a young quarterback, a veteran wide receiver, and the coaching staff is coaching up everybody else around them and allowing the small details for the quarterback to slip through the cracks. But yet, if I break off my wrong foot or the ball is thrown behind me and it hits my hand, I don't catch it, I'm overcoached. I'm being told I need to do a better job. But you're not coaching up the other guy who threw it to me. I remember this, not saying names, right? But I remember one time I got yelled at for dropping the pass. I should have. However, I had caught like 4 or 5 balls that were thrown here, behind me. I had to catch one through my legs. And no accountability from the coach on the 5 that I caught that were off the mark, but the one I did catch. And that's where resentment starts to create, where you're saying, hey, are you coaching us all in the same way? Or is it you are making sure that you keep your guy lifted up at the expense of everyone else?
It's a fine line.
While you're playing. And guys start to say, bro, no, you need to coach everybody. And if you don't start coaching everybody, then you know what? Don't talk to me. And that, I'm telling you, that happens because these are professionals. And one thing, about professionals, we all had this job. When you're a professional and you don't like your supervisor because they didn't try you, they just said something to you on the wrong day, now you start to look at your supervisor uniquely and you start to go, so are you really coaching us, or are you just coaching us? Like coaches sometimes coach everybody, but they're really talking to one person, but they don't want that one person to be get all upset. And that one person is actually the person we need to play the best.
Do you think that's what's happening in Chicago right now? Do you think that was the issue with Shane Waldron? And that that's why part of the reason they needed to make a change?
I think Shane Waldron was a struggling offensive coordinator, but I also think that they were putting too much on Caleb. And I also believe that they have these dynamic wide receivers that is huge expectation. The ball is all over the field. You're talking about, hey, coach, why did DJ Moore walk off the field? Now he has to explain that he rolled his ankle. Man, them dudes scored 3 points. Why the hell y'all ain't talking about the 3 points we didn't score? How about the bad play calling? You're starting to hone in on certain things, but they are giving a hall pass to the young guys. And guys know when you start giving hall passes to the young guys and you start holding the older guys accountable, you can lose your locker room. Guys can start rolling their eyes at the messages because they don't believe that you're speaking from a professional, honest opinion. Now you're just talking to your CYA. You're covering your own anus. And that's where things start to become where, man, I don't fool with you.
I mean, there's 2 schools of thought, right, Steve, that most coaches that you talk to are in. You play him right away. You tell him he's the guy. You sit him, and you let him grow behind somebody else. There are plenty of people in this league that have coached at the head coaching position in the NFL that believe you should sit quarterbacks right away. But that's the difficult spot you're in as a coaching staff to make sure you don't lose which is one of the most important things that happen with a rookie quarterback. He doesn't lose his confidence, which is one thing you're monitoring constantly with a rookie quarterback when you play them in year one. And you want to make sure...
At the expense of other players.
Yes, and that's my point. This delicate balance that you have to go through is part of the coaching job. Before we go, I gotta ask you, what do you do on a plane? Are you a movie guy? Are you a sleep guy on a over the Atlantic type flight?
I'm a combination. Depends. Something was wrong with my surface, so I couldn't get the games like I usually do and do some scouting stuff that I usually do since it was 9 hours. I did watch 2 movies. 1992, and that movie was actually pretty good. It was with Tyreke Gibson, but it was 1992 about the riots and Rodney King thing and growing up there. It kind of sparks memory, so that was really cool. Then I tried to watch that movie that Kevin Costner self-produced.
Oh boy.
Horizon.
Yeah, a plane ride for 9 hours. I think you can watch half of Horizon, I think, on that plane ride.
Bro, I made about 15 minutes of it, bro. It's way too slow, dog. Way too slow.
Yeah.
And I'm a Kevin Costner guy. I like Waterworld and
I didn't think that'd be the first one you'd say, Waterworld. But you did.
I love the classes, like learning about history.
Yeah.
But bro, I hate to say it, that little saga trilogy that he self-produced, that boy, he should just do it to me, because that's about the same. Let me blow it, like that's like that COVID relief money, man. Some folks went to jail. He need to go to jail for that terrible ass movie.
Man,
I was sitting in first class. I wanted to go to coach.
You heard it here first. Horizon is no Waterworld. Steve Smith said it.
That movie is.
See you next week, Steve.
See you next week.